All right, welcome back to Match Play. We've had a lot of fun so far talking about our California topics, our regional topics out here on location at Lilly Field at Cal U here. Guys, are we having a lot of fun yet?
Oh, I'm having a blast. This has to be one of the most fun match plays I've ever been a part of.
Definitely. It's so nice out. I mean, it's a little bit cloudy now. It's not as sunny, but it's a beautiful day with the temperature. It's nice to be outside after being inside all winter.
All right, well, as much as we want to enjoy this weather, we're going to have to do it while we're talking because we still have a lot of show left to go. So let's get things started with the NFL lockout. They are officially locked out at this point. Last time we had a match play, they were still trying to work a deal out, but the NFL Players Union finally dissolved as a union. Now they're just a corporation there to support the players. Guys, how do you see this working out? Do you think we're going to have an NFL season in 2011? And do you think the NFLPA did a good move by making such a shift, such a violent offensive move there in this game of chess?
I think it's what they had to do. The owners and the players union, they couldn't come to an agreement, and they extended the deadline so many times, and they just weren't on the same page. They were too far off, and it's what it had to come to. They're going to go to court. They're going to have to settle this. I'm just hoping we're going to have a NFL season because personally, as a sports fan, I love football, and without the NFL, I know you're on the other side over here, but honestly, I really enjoy the NFL, and I don't want to see them completely out of a season.
No, I do like the NFL, and I don't want to see them lose an entire season. I think that would be a horrible decision for them to lose an entire season, but they need to get this resolved, and I'm glad they just didn't continue extending the deadline and be like, oh, we're not locked out, we're just extending the deadline, but we don't have a contract. That's just ridiculous, and I'm glad they didn't do that. But what I'm going to say about the NFL Players Association is if they did tell prospects not to come to the draft and that they'll hold their own thing in New York, it's not the same. Come on. You play for the fans. The fans pay your paychecks. You need to come back. You need to figure out what's going on for both the owners and the NFLPA. But for the draft, I mean, come on. You have to go to the draft. The NFLPA cannot ask you to not go.
No, I completely agree, and there's been a lot of talk about them just not going to that draft, but that's what those players dream for. Going through college, they just want to hear their name called. They want to walk up on that stage and get that jersey. It's like just one of those things you dream of as a kid. And another quick thing, Roger Goodell, he has lived up to it. He's on a $1 salary right now because they're locked out. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I do have to give Roger Goodell credit for that, like him or not. And you both raised very good points. Allison, I really liked how you said that this is about the fans. There's so much money going around. Just find a way to distribute the money. This is for the fans. It's all revolves around them. Yep. And if they're not happy, well, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So moving right along here into the NHL, we've got a ruling coming, or not a ruling coming down, but a lack of a ruling in that there is no ban that has been laid down on headshots in the NHL. Allison, we've already mentioned you're our resident hockey expert here, so we'll let you take the point on this. How about the NHL not coming down on this?
One thing that I want to point out is USA Hockey, which runs all youth hockey in the United States, as well as Hockey Canada, which runs hockey up in Canada, and the IIHF, which runs all international tournaments. There is a complete ban on headshots. The second your elbow or forearm or shoulder touches your head, you're done. You're gone for the game. It's a 5-minute penalty. It doesn't matter whether it's intentional or not. Those players have adjusted. Those players have learned to play without it. One thing that the NHL thinks, or the Board of Governors and the GMs think, is, oh, it's going to take hitting out of the game. Our players aren't going to adjust. Yes, they will. They're in the NHL for a reason. They adjusted without the obstruction, without the hooking and the holding. They can adjust without hits to the head. Yeah, there probably is going to be a couple where it is accidental and people are going to get tossed whenever maybe it was the player's fault that got hit. However, you can't see players out for an extended period of time because somebody decided to go and throw an elbow and you say, oh, well, he had his head down. That's just ridiculous.
Safety needs to be the main concern at this point. If players are getting hurt and they're out for so long because of these headshots, a rule needs to be put in place. Look at the NFL just this last season. All the stipulations that was going in with the hits to the head and James Harrison, we saw it right here in Pittsburgh. They cracked down. All those players had to change the way they play their game. And James Harrison was not a fan of it, and I know he's still kind of battling through it, but a lot of players change the way they play. There's no reason hockey can't do the same.
Right, we've seen that with several different sports at several different periods of time in which rules change and the players adapt. That's what happens with sports. You adapt as time goes on and things change. So I definitely agree. I think we all are at a consensus here on this. But moving on, let's see if we can get to something where we disagree a little bit, get a little bit of anger going out here on the field. It's tournament time. NCAA Division I National Tournament kicked off yesterday. We saw a bunch of upsets, a bunch of last-minute buzzer beaters, lots of excitement, everything that the NCAA tournament always promises to be. Guys, who do you have in the bracket? How have you enjoyed this tournament so far, and who are you looking to win the national championship this year?
Oh, I'm loving it. It's March Madness time. How can you not love it? You look forward to it all year. Once this is over, once my bracket's busted, because it will be, I'm going to look forward to next year. But it's been a great first round. Games being played as we speak right now, so probably more upsets we haven't heard of. But the Morehead State upset over Louisville, that was huge. And I was actually proud to have picked that in one of my brackets, so I'm enjoying that. But I do like Pitt making a nice run in this. I see Ohio State. These 4 number 1 seeds, they have a great shot at making it through. But Duke is looking strongest right now. Julius Erving is back, and he's just one of those players that really changes the momentum for this Duke team. And already a strong Duke team just gets even stronger.
Yeah, well, you said you picked Morehead State. I just want to point out to the fans, you have, 10 brackets?
Six.
Okay.
Six.
And one of them you said, I picked all upsets because I wanted to see what would happen.
I did not pick all. I picked
count.
3 upsets.
You said you didn't try on that one, so that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
99.7 percentile in ESPN rank.
Okay, well, right now, I think at around 1 o'clock, before the 1:40 game started, I was 13-4. So I'm pretty proud of myself because that's good for me. I'm happy with that. I mean, if I stay at that winning percentage, I'm pretty good. Morehead State and Richmond hurt me.
13-4
because I had Louisville going to the Sweet 16, so.
Yeah, 13-4 is your record right now?
Yeah, out of first round games.
Out of the 6, that's my worst record, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think Clint does have you there if that's his worst record.
He probably does.
Although I think you have to say that the worst bracket is the one that counts. That's only fair if you're making that many up.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got a little bit more left to cover here. The NBA, we're going to step up to the pros from the collegiate level here. The NBA, we're coming down toward the end of the season, heading into that playoff push. I'm going to ask pretty much the same question about the tournament. I'll start with you again, Clint, because you are our basketball expert here around the area. NBA, who do you like? And who do you think's who's gonna make that big push and sneak into the playoffs at the end? And who's gonna be our power players?
Well, you know who I like. It's Miami Heat, obviously, just because I'm a LeBron fan. But you're gonna hear that a lot. But the Heat have just done a great job recently. They have knocked off. They killed the Spurs. They beat the Lakers. So LeBron +1 over Kobe just in that department. Kobe hasn't beaten other ones, as our cameraman Titus doesn't agree. But regardless, I like the Heat in the East. They're going to make a very strong run in the conference. It'll be interesting to see if that chemistry continues. In the West, though, Oklahoma City has to be one of the top teams right now to beat. I see Oklahoma City possibly winning the title this year. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are just 2 dominant players right now, and they've really stepped their game up recently.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said before the trade deadline that Boston was going to be really tough to beat, but that trade hurt them. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal, I do not think can be a center and lead you on a playoff push. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Heat will beat them if they meet. Kevin Durant is playing very, very well, but if he goes cold, the Thunder are kind of in a little bit of trouble. So I think right now the hottest team in the NBA is the San Antonio Spurs. I know they were on a big win streak. They are one of the first. They are the first in the West, and they have already clinched a playoff spot. But the West is going to be tougher than the East, I think, this year with LA, with San Antonio. You're going to have some tough battles.
The East is always stronger, but with Boston being on a little bit of a decline with that trade and it hurting them a little bit, I don't see the East being as strong. I do agree that the West will be stronger, but what you're saying about San Antonio, though, too, I don't think they're going to be as strong when it comes playoff time. They've just they kind of lost a little bit of an edge, and I don't know if they'll pick that back up.
All right, well, very good discussion here we've had out here. It's been a great half hour of discussion we've already had, and we've gone through a lot here, California topics. I thought you got to remember, everyone, this is a competition show. These guys were competing the whole time, so now I've got to try to figure out who's better here. And it's a push really, because you guys both did very well in the California topics. You both knew your stuff. Allison, you really picked it up at the hockey section where we expected you to. Clint, whenever we came to the basketball, you really knew your stuff as well. But what really hurts is that you filled out so many brackets. Why did you fill out so many brackets?
6 is not that many.
Yes,
now,
it is.
All right, you have to give me credit. I filled out 2 women's brackets as well.
Okay.
How
are those doing? Well, those haven't started
they didn't
yet.
start yet, but I'm a March Madness person. I love brackets, so you can't blame me when I just want to fill out some brackets.
You can't fill out 6
Yes,
brackets.
you can.
That doesn't count. You fill out 1, and however you do on that 1 is what your record is.
No,
and you're done.
No.
You fill out the same bracket. You can enter
Because
multiple groups, but you fill out the same bracket.
Okay, but
Because then it doesn't count if you go and be like, oh, I'm going to go pick all these teams, and I'm going to go pick all these teams, and then I'm going to do this combination, yeah, your bracket's going to be
higher. If I have the
higher.
best bracket in ESPN out of everyone in the world, and I win like $100,000, you're not going to get any of it if you keep back-talking me like that. Yeah. I'll give Will 25 grand.
I checked the leaderboard. You're not near the top.
I'm 99.7 percentile.
But you're not near the top.
99.7.
I already checked.
All right, well, Clint did try to bribe me, and I am a man that's able to be bribed. However, there's still just that is an asinine number of brackets. That is
6?
completely on
Yeah.
that. No,
You can fill it up to
you
10.
don't need 6
No,
brackets.
you do
can fill
not
up
need
to
6
10.
brackets.
They would only let you
I
fill
filled
out
out
1.
and I'm going off on my
I filled out 1 too. So Allison, I'm going to go ahead and give you the win. Clint, strong performance as always. That will do it for us here at Match Play. From Lilly Field, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's production, Titus, our cameraman, as well as Ryan and Andy in the truck. For Allison Steinheiser and Clint Logan, my name's Will Moore. Thanks for watching Match Play. We'll see you next time.